So if I was making this video probably like 2 years ago, I could tell you that California was the #1 state that was relocating in Colorado. Since then, Texas has moved into first place, being the #1 state relocating into Colorado. The funny thing though is, if you look at it, like, I think it's Texas, California, and then Florida are the 3 top states relocating into Colorado. And if we talk about the 3 states that people are relocating out of Colorado to, it goes Texas, California, Florida. Florida and California might be flipped, I don't know. But it's pretty funny to see that it's pretty much like a swip swap between the states on who's going where. Let's go ahead and break into the main differences though if you are planning on relocating into Colorado from Texas. The first one being is climate. This is probably the most obvious one. Make sure you stick around though, because we have helped out so many of you who are relocating, and we're going to reveal the #1 reason, or the couple of reasons, why you guys are relocating into Colorado from Texas. Let's break into the climate though. So this is an obvious one. Texas, my only exposure to it was in the military. You know, I was down in Fort Hood, Texas. The reason they sent us down there is because we were going over to Iraq and they wanted to put us into a similar climate to Iraq. Super hot, a little muggy, and so they threw us down there into Texas. So yes, Texas is much warmer, and if we actually look at your annual average temperatures, it's about a 20-degree difference, where the average annual temperature in Texas is 60 degrees, where the average annual temperature in Colorado is 43.5 degrees. I actually looked it up today. So today in Colorado, we're like in the 40s. Over in Texas, I mean, you guys have a big state, a lot of area to span, but typically what I saw is you guys are in the 70s and the 80s. It is definitely much warmer down in Texas as compared to Colorado. The question is that one of the main reasons why you guys are relocating to Colorado? Make sure you stick around. I will reveal that towards the end of this video. And with that heat comes the fact that Colorado, we get a lot more snow. Texas, the northern portion, does get some snow, and if we're talking about consistent snow, there's only like secluded areas within Texas that can get consistent snow, where Colorado, we do get consistent snow. So just know that if you're moving from Texas into Colorado, you have to bring those things like a snow shovel. You are going to have to clean your car off if you are not parking it within a garage. You are going to have to worry about winterizing your lines, because we do get freezing temperatures within Colorado. With climate though, outside of just the heat and the coolness that is compared between the 2 states, we also have to talk a lot about humidity. Colorado is pretty darn dry. We talk about it all the time. Make sure when coming to Colorado, you bring your chapstick, you bring your lotion, you bring that sunscreen.
Can you bring me my chapstick?
No, Napoleon.
But my lips hurt real bad.
We do not have near the humidity up in Colorado as compared to Texas. Now, of course, the further south in Texas you go, like more Houston area, gets a lot more humid. But when we're talking about humidity, it's similar in temperature, where you're looking at about a 15 to 20% difference. The average humidity in Colorado is 52%, and the average humidity down in Texas is 64.9%. And it's, I mean, here's the best way to put it, because I was born and raised in Colorado, 5th generation native, all those things. I was always used to the dryness, and so I actually enjoyed going down to humidity where I didn't have to worry about the lotion, constantly having to apply that chapstick. But it might be a shell shock for those of you who are born and raised in Texas or are used to that Texas humidity, coming somewhere like Colorado where it is much more dry. The second thing that I want to break into is the elevation. Colorado, we are the Rocky Mountain state, so our elevations are much higher. With that comes a few different problems. The #1 being is altitude sickness. We do see this with a lot of our clients that we are helping out, and it only lasts like, I'd say, week. I think the one client that we had, it maybe lasts like 2 weeks at most. Most of it's just like nausea. You just really don't feel that great, but it eventually starts to go away. So altitude sickness is something when you are coming from somewhere that is a little bit more sea level. And then if we look at like the average elevation in Texas, you're looking at about 1,700 feet above sea level. The highest point in Texas is Guadalupe Peak, which is 8,751 feet. That is your highest point within Texas. When we're talking about that average elevation within Colorado, you're looking at 6,800 feet above sea level. Denver is always known as the Mile High City because we are 5,200 feet, give or take, whatever, within the Denver metro above sea level. That's why we are called the Mile High City. But if we look at the highest point within Colorado, it is going to be Mount Elbert at 14,440 feet above sea level. We are much higher. With that, there's a little bit more outside of just the altitude sickness, lack of oxygen. Also know that the UV rays are going to be more intense with that higher elevation in Colorado as compared to Texas. So the math that we always look at, because they say typically 5 to 15% for every 1,000 feet above sea level that you get, the UV rays, let's just split it right down the middle, are about 10% stronger. And so if we look at that, like if we just look at the Denver metro area at the mile high, you're looking at about 50% stronger UV rays. You do get burnt a little bit quicker up in Colorado as compared being down in Texas. The third one is actually one that you guys talk to us about quite a bit when you are looking at relocating from Texas into Colorado. And we're going to be talking about the cost of living comparing the two states. Of course, you can only do so much, right? Because you have these two, Texas is a massive state. Colorado is much smaller. So essentially what I did was I took 3 of the largest cities within the 2 states, comparing the 3 on the cost of living and what we are really looking at. Before I dive into that cost of living, guys, Happy New Year. By the time I just realized this video is going to post, it's going to be on New Year's Day. So Happy New Year. Hopefully you guys have great things, great plans happening for 2025. If you are making 2025 goal of moving into Colorado, your next thing, why don't you reach out to us and give us a call or text at that phone number right below. Right there, we always answer. It doesn't matter date or time, but if you're not quite ready to purchase, make sure you follow along, educate yourself on all the stuff coming in from the Denver Metro, going all the way up into Fort Collins by smashing that subscribe button. Give us a thumbs up, notification bell. That way you're notified every single time they put out a brand new video. So the biggest cost differences, I guess, that we kind of hear about is Texas, you guys don't have a state income tax, whereas Colorado, you do have a state income tax. In Colorado, that state income tax is 4.4%. Quick note on that there might be some local taxes that are on top of those. So if we look at these local municipalities, they might tack a little bit on top of that state income tax. Just know that 4.4% is the base, and then it might be a little bit more depending on what city, what county you decide to live in. Another thing to look at is like your baseline sales tax. So your baseline sales tax is going to be a little bit more expensive down in Texas, coming in at a 6.25%, whereas in Colorado, it's 2.9%. Caveat to that. So 2.9% is the Colorado state sales tax. Just know that these local municipalities all differ. So if you're in an unincorporated area of a county, or you're not within city limits, it will be a little bit cheaper. Oftentimes I see people who will go to a Home Depot, or if they have a large purchase into an unincorporated area, that way that sales tax is a little bit lower. Just know you're looking at about 8 to 10% by the time you add all these local municipality taxes on top of that state sales tax. This is going to be another big one. I know that the state income tax was a huge one, but another big one that you guys always tell us about is property taxes. Texas is actually the 7th highest state when we are talking about property taxes, coming in at an average of 1.6% per year. Or if we compare that to your property taxes within Colorado, you're looking at a 0.48%. One thing that we talk about that we actually haven't talked about in a while is your metro tax districts, where you might get into a scenario where these builders are pulling out municipality bonds, right? And what they're doing is they're tacking that onto your property taxes. So even though you have that 0.48%, it can go as high as the neighborhood that we live in, there is a metro tax district. And so our taxes, I'd say, are about 1.2%. So that's what we always say. If you are looking at building new or moving into a newer community and you see those taxes are a little bit higher than as opposed to something that was built like maybe 10, 15 years ago, there's a good chance that it is going to be within a metro tax district. All right, let's go ahead and break into the stuff that you guys are really interested in. Let's compare the median sales price of houses in some of these top cities over in Texas as compared to the top cities over in Colorado. So the top one, your largest city within Texas based on population, is going to be Houston, Texas, where you have a median sales price of $315,000, and that number is actually up 1.61% year over year. We're comparing November of 2023 to November of 2024. The next largest city is going to be San Antonio. Now, guys, I'm not sitting here trying to think that I'm an expert in Texas whatsoever. I did not know San Antonio was that large, but this is going to be your second largest city based on population, where you have a median sales price of $285,000. And that number is also up 0.82%. Now, the rule of thumb that we always like to talk about is if it's below 1%, you're pretty much just level, right? So it's just like it pretty much was just a wash from 2023 over into 2024. The third largest city within Texas is going to be Dallas, where you have a median sales price of $418,000, and that number is actually down year over year, 6.01%. All right, cool. So we got the largest cities broken down in Texas. Let's go ahead and compare the largest cities over in Colorado. Number one, obviously being Denver. Now, just a quick note that this is the city of Denver. This is not including the Denver metro area with all the surrounding cities. The median sales price within Denver is $588,000. Big difference compared to Texas, and that number is up 0.43%. So again, it's pretty much a wash from 2023 over into 2024. The second largest city within Colorado based on population is going to be Colorado Springs. If you've ever watched any of our other videos, there's projections that Colorado Springs will overtake Denver in population by the year 2050 because it is a super hot spot right now. But the median sales price in Colorado Springs is $460,000, and that number is up 2.68%. And then the third largest city is going to be Aurora, Colorado, where you have a median sales price of $490,000. Year over year, that number is up 4.26%. So you can see when we are talking about those real estate prices, they are going to be a little bit pricier within Colorado as compared to Texas. The thing is, with all these other costs, with Colorado being cheaper in a few different areas, will that kind of like be a wash? The higher property taxes, potentially the higher sales tax and stuff like that, will that be a wash kind of comparing the two? It just all depends. You have to run your numbers to see if you're paying a higher price for a house will be similar to what you're kind of paying for in Texas. The fourth category that we're going to be going into, and actually we've talked about this in a prior video. I think we did a video on Texas to Colorado back in April 23, if I get my dates right. I try my best to remember the videos, but guys, there's so many of them I don't really remember. But the traffic, and we've only driven through Texas a few times. I can tell you the traffic is much crazier, and well, mainly Dallas, that's the part that we are in, but we also have partners that are down in Houston. They say the same thing, that it is hard commuting in and around the city, but traffic is a huge thing. You know what? Growing up, like being born and raised in Colorado, I'm like, holy crap, this traffic is crazy. It's getting so populated here. And I don't know crap because there's people who are coming from Philly like, Pete, listen, you have no idea what traffic really is. But traffic is a big difference comparing these two cities. I thought the best way to compare this outside of just my own personal opinion is to go over the populations of kind of the three top cities I covered in the cost of living in Texas and then also in Denver. So if we are looking at the population of Houston, you're looking at 2.3 million people. If we look at the population of San Antonio, you're looking at 1.5 million people. And if you look at the population in Dallas, you're looking at 1.3 million people. Now let's compare that to the population over in Colorado. The population in Denver, which is our largest city, you're looking at a population of 716,577. So even the most populated city within Colorado is not as high as the third most populated city within Texas. With that, you got more people, more traffic, more congestion, right? So the second one is obviously Colorado Springs, where you got a population of 488,664. And the third most populated city within Colorado is Aurora, coming in at 395,052. So we aren't near as populated within Colorado as compared to Texas, and we can kind of see, you know, with that, you know, just more traffic, and we just, I mean, like I said, it's something that I see all the time. I'm like, this is a ton of traffic, but I really don't know, because in Texas, you guys have much more people, many more cars on the road. All right, you stuck around to the fifth one. This is the one that we personally know because we talked to so many of you who are relocating into Colorado from Texas, and the main reasons why you are relocating into Colorado. The number one, by far, topic why you are relocating into Colorado from Texas is that climate. You are looking for a true 4 seasons. You want cooler weather. And so we see a lot of you are like, you know what? I am just so sick of this Texas heat. I want to be somewhere where I got amazing climate, where, you know, yeah, it's summertime to get warm, but wintertime it at least cools down. I can enjoy that snow. And so climate is the number one reason why we've seen that you guys are relocating into Colorado from Texas. The second reason that you guys come to us with why you want to relocate into Colorado is the activities, and mainly based around the mountains. Like, those mountains are amazing. I want to take advantage of them. I want to go skiing. I want to go snowboarding. I want to go hiking. I want to go kayaking. All the awesome things you get to do in the mountains. And there are so many of you that actually, I will say probably about 70% of you that we do help moving from Texas into Colorado. You say you want to be within 30 minutes to the mountains because you want to take advantage of all those activities that we do offer within the mountains. And the third one, and this one is, I'd say it's very slight, but it is one that pops up constantly when we are talking to you guys, is the politics. I mean, you guys, you're seriously moving from a more conservative state into a more progressive state, and that is one of your reasons. You're like, you know what, I want to be somewhere that's a little bit more progressive, and so that's why I am choosing Colorado. But it doesn't pop up that often. Like the first two, when we're talking about like your climate and your activities, those are by far the biggest reasons why you are relocating into Colorado. And then I'd throw a distant fourth. I actually didn't even have this one written down. I'd say like the cost of property taxes. Property taxes come up, I'd say 1 out of 4 of you that we do talk to. You're saying that you don't like how much the property taxes, you'd rather get more house and you know, pay a little bit more but pay less in property taxes, as opposed to getting less house and then having to pay more monthly on your property taxes. All right, thank you so much for watching, guys. I greatly appreciate it. Again, Happy New Year. I seriously, I hope that you guys have a prosperous, a successful 2025. Thank you so much for watching this channel. We are going on, I think, 4 or 5 years coming up. So thank you so much to all of you who continuously watch these videos, who continually support us and call us and talk to us. We love it. Seriously, it tugs at our heart all the time, every single time that we get one of you reaching out to us. Thank you so much. If you are looking at purchasing real estate in the state of Colorado, give us a call or text at that phone number right below. Right right there, we always answer. It doesn't matter day or time, but if you're not quite ready to purchase, do yourself a favor and follow along by smashing that subscribe button. Give us a thumbs up, notification bell, that way you're notified every single time that we put out a brand new video. Till next time, we love you. Bye.